Hi guys, welcome back to our video series on manifesting and co-creation, where we're talking about how to take our dreams, ideas, and thoughts of potential and be able to manifest them in the world of the actual. So in our last video, which if you haven't seen it yet, you should take a look at it, we discussed the importance of letting go of the idea that we are the creators themselves and actually step into a new way of thinking, that we are actually the space creators. We're the receivers of a flow that's coming in. By creating the space, by tuning in, we create space for flow, blessing, desire to manifest in our lives, right? And allow the creator with a capital C to do the work that's meant to be done. So in this video, I want to talk about exactly what that means. How do you become a receiver? How do you tune in? How do you create space? And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have something practical and moving that you can use in your life to actually start implementing this in your day-to-day. So let's jump in. Right now, I want to talk about priority number one, okay? Priority number one is feeling good. Now, what do I mean and where am I coming from? So there's a concept in Torah called Yisarusa dilatata misorin dilaela. That means what you awaken from below, right? That awakens something above. When you do something in our lives in this world, there's something that we can do, that we can act with, that awakens a flow above in a deeper, transcendent reality, and that flows into our life. What is the most powerful divine act or thing you can do to awaken a powerful flow from above? So it's not what you do, and it's not what you say, and it's not what you think, even though we'll talk about all of those in the next video and how they play a role in the co-creative process. The most important thing that you have access to, that makes you a receiver and creates space, is how you feel. It's the energy that's going on inside of you that makes you and turns you into a magnet, right, for flow. The way you feel below affects how the world relates to you from above. See, that's the secret of the secret of the law of attraction, which preaches like attracts like. When you're feeling happy and positive and good, so that actually allows for more flow and blessing and goodness to flow into your life. And when you're feeling crummy and down and negative, so what ends up happening instead is a hidden flow of goodness comes into your life. I say hidden good flow or hidden positive flow because anything that's happening in our life is ultimately for the best. It's ultimately good and positive, but we can't always see it. We can't always feel it. We can't always taste it. So the flow is hidden. When we are in a good space, when you're feeling good, you're actually changing your life. You're changing the dynamics of how the spiritual reality is integrating and affecting your physical reality right now. You know those people who always seem to just have it going their way? It seems like the world is constantly conspiring and working in their favor. And those people tend to be happy and positive and in a good mood quite a lot of the time. So whereas a lot of people may judge and say, yeah, of course, they're happy and positive. You know, the world seems to be working for them. If the world was working for me, I would be happy and positive also. Well, the truth is, it works just the opposite. It's not that they're happy and positive because life is going their way. Life is going their way because they're finding themselves in a positive space. You see, God created the mirror system, or the measure for measure system, which is as is below, so is above. As is above, so is below. There's a reflection that's going on. And the most powerful energetic place of reflection isn't just in the things that you do, or the words that you say, or the thoughts that you think, but it's actually the way you feel. This is what's called the law of resonance. How resonance works is, well, we use the metaphor from music, right? If you take out a piano and you hit the C key, right? So on a piano, it goes through the whole scale, right? Many times, right? I don't remember if it's 4 times, 3 or 5, or it goes through the scale a number of times. Whenever you hit the C note, right? So all of the C's will vibrate together, because when the vibration of the C note is moving, so it hits all the other places that have a C note and they all start vibrating at the same time. In the same way, if you were to take a cello and put it in one side of a room and a violin in another side of the room, and you made sure that they were tuned, right, in the same way, and you played a certain note on the cello, that note on the violin is going to start vibrating also. There's resonance that goes between one side to the other. In the same way, right, when you feel a certain way, that awakens a certain resonance in a deeper reality, in a part that we don't see or experience with our hands and our eyes, but it awakens that, and then that starts shaking very loud, and that sends a message down into this world, and things start to unfold in that way. So it's really about coming into alignment. It's tuning in to a higher reality, to a higher frequency of what life is really about, right? It's about learning and practicing. It's really mimicking. When you can mimic the higher vibration, the higher sound, the higher ideals of what life is supposed to be about, love, joy, peace, gratitude, all of the good things that we like to experience, when we do that, which is the will of God, it's the will of the creator, of the master of the universe, right? When you can do that and you open that up, so that shakes the heavens, right? That creates that vibrational energy that changes the way we experience our world down here. And the question is, how willing are you to mimic that higher will? How willing are you to take your will, whatever the lower level wills are, put them aside and go into that higher space and feel good? Now, maybe it sounds a little selfish, right? Like all I'm going to care about is feeling good. Well, it's maybe the most giving thing you can do, because the first thing you bring to any relationship, to any business meeting, to any job you're going to, when you're with your kids, everywhere you go, what's the first thing you bring into the room? So it's not what you say, and it's not what you think, and it's not what you're doing. It's your energy. How you feel affects the room. People can pick up on that extremely fast. Right? I think it's something like 7% of all communication is the words themselves. Everything else is the energy and the body language, what you're saying without your mouth. So just on that alone, being selfish to be in a good feeling state is really a giving exercise. It's a giving service, and it's what we should be striving for before we move into anything. And on a deeper level, it opens up the gates of flow that we're looking for. Coming into alignment and tuning in, that's what makes you a receiver, right? Like a radio receiver, when you tune it in, you turn the dial to the right station and it picks up on the waves that are coming in. When you turn into the right station, so you start drawing in that frequency into your life. And here's the beautiful part. The beautiful part is you can't fake it. You get what you feel, right? If you feel a certain way, you can't pretend that you're not feeling that way. I mean, you can, but you're not doing anybody any justice, because you know how you feel. The people around you really know how you feel, and more than anybody, right? The universe and God who created it knows how you feel. So what you feel and what you want is the only place in your life where you really can't fake it, right? So it's all about being able to learn to master that inner space, which is going to be the key to opening up all the things you really want in your life. So the beginning of this practice is actually to practice noticing how you feel and what's going on inside of you and in your thoughts and in your speech pattern when you're in alignment, and what's going on when you're out of alignment, when you're in tune or when you're out of tune, right? When you're plugged in, you feel joy, life seems to happen effortlessly, you feel at peace, you're a happier person, people tend to want to be around you. And you're not stressed out, you don't feel overburdened, and life is a joy, and you're a joy to be around. Whereas when you're out of tune and you're not in alignment, that's usually when we're in a controlling energy, we're feeling resistant, we feel resentment, we're more focused on our goals and objectives and achievements than we are on the actual joy of life as it's happening, right? So that's a practice in its own right, to start paying attention right now. Are you in tune or are you out of tune? Do you need to take a break and put yourself back in a good position to go back to that good feeling inside of you? Or are you good? You're feeling very positive and up right now. That's going to be priority number one as we do everything, because priority number one, as we said, is feeling good. So the obvious question is, so how do I change how I feel, right? So we have to ask the question that's behind that, which is why do you feel the way you feel. So there's an assumption that we feel the way we feel maybe because of our circumstances or what's happening outside of us. If we're a little bit more nuanced, maybe we think that we feel the way we feel because of the thoughts that we're having, right? If I think positive, I feel good. If I think negative, I feel bad. But the truth is, it's actually something far more essential. It's not about, certainly not about what's going on outside. And even when you go inside, it's not about what you think. It's really about what you believe. You see, thoughts on their own, they really hold no power. But thoughts that you believe, so they become energized. See, belief is the energy behind everything that we think and everything that we feel. What you feel is what you believe, right? Not what you think. You can have a negative thought right now, but if you know that you're doing it as a practice, it's not going to fully shift you. Yes, there's some element that it'll move, but the total shift, the energetic shift that you get from the thinking is really about what you believe. Your feelings are a measuring stick. They're a barometer of what you're believing right now. So right now, you can try to convince yourself, I'm doing great, I'm doing great, I'm feeling good. But on the inside, you're feeling lousy, and you're feeling negative, but you're trying to convince yourself with your brain. Your heart is telling you the truth. How you feel is actually what you believe. And you're trying to tape over that and write over that feeling with a band-aid of a positive thought. But it doesn't work like that, right? You actually have to shift what you're believing if you actually want to change how you're feeling. In order to change the way you feel, you have to change the type of thinking you have in two ways. One, it has to be positive. And two, you have to believe what you're thinking. You have to believe what you're thinking, what you're saying, and how you're acting. And when you can believe that, then you're actually putting energy, real energy that's powerful into everything that you're doing. And the more you dwell on that, in that place, with that energy, you actually go to that space. For example, if you're feeling really tired and you're trying to convince yourself that you're not tired by saying, I have energy, so that's not going to work really well because you're feeling really tired and you don't have energy and you feel like you don't have energy. So what's the smart thing to do? How do you shift out of that? So you have to think something, say something that's an affirmation that you actually do believe, which maybe it sounds something more like, I want to feel energy. So that's a true statement and you believe that. And I want to feel energy, or I believe that I can feel energy any minute now. I believe that God can send me whatever I need at any moment, and in 15 minutes I can feel more energetic than I do right now. Those thoughts alone, if you believe the things you're thinking, actually start to shift what's going on inside of you, and you start to go higher up the scale, right? It says, right, we speak about Jacob's ladder. So what's the beauty of a ladder? Is that if you're at the bottom of the ladder and you're screaming, I'm at the top, you're not at the top. So the only way to get up the ladder is to actually go up to the next rung. So you got to reach for that next rung. What's that next thought that you can think that you believe, and that lifts you up? And then when you get there, you can reach for another thought and go climbing up another rung and another rung. And once you go to the next thought that you can believe, you can slowly move yourself up and you bring yourself out of a low space into a higher space. So I'm going to give you 4 different thought types that when you work on these are at the core of feeling good, of feeling positive, and really being in alignment with a higher will, right? This is the beginning, and really it's the beginning and the end. It's where we are, it's where we were, and it's where we're going. And the 4 thoughts are gratitude, self-worth, feeling love, and feeling safe. So again, what I don't mean is if you say the words, I feel loved, or I feel safe, or I feel grateful, but you actually don't feel or believe what you're saying. So although there's positive, and it's advantageous because in that moment you're not thinking something negative, but at the end of the day, that's not where we're at. We have to find ways to kind of go in and figure out what's the lowest space, what's the lowest place where I can have a thought that I truly believe that actually elevates me from where I was to where I want to be. And we have to just tend to the gap between where we are, where we want to be, where we can be, what our potential is. And the first place to do that is to look in and tune in and feel, well, where am I holding right now emotionally? Where am I holding in my feelings? Now, this is an important definition I want to share with you. When I say believe, what I really mean is, the definition of belief to me is, it's something that you know for sure, but you can't prove it. You see, it's a knowing. It's not an intellectual, I believe or I want this to be true, but I deep down know that this is reality. This is true. And sometimes we know more and sometimes we know less, and sometimes we have more clarity and sometimes we have less clarity, but whatever you do know, that's what you believe in that moment. And when our mind is expanded and we have a better vision of life, so we know more, we feel more because we know more, and it's still belief. Therefore, you can't just say, I believe that, and then fill in the blank, right? Those words don't help. They're just more words. You really have to ask yourself when you're saying something, do I really believe this? And try it. Try a more positive thought, and then ask yourself, do I really believe this right now? And if you have a strong, authentic yes, so then great, fantastic. But if the answer is no, or the answer is I want to believe that to be true, which really means I don't believe that right now, I just want to believe it. So then you gotta reach for a different rung. You're reaching too high on the ladder. Reach for a little bit lower, because a rung that you can't reach isn't gonna help you even if it sounds good. So now we're gonna do a meditation on how to get into those good feelings. It's a guided meditation on just trying to feel good, going into those four thoughts, how to really experience that in a deeper way. And together, we'll try to get more into that feel-good space. Remember, when you feel good, you feel God. When you make your will His will, He makes His will your will. And that's going to change the way life is experienced.